Delmarva Today with Don Rush.
The acts are now set for the National Folk Festival that'll take place in Salisbury this September. Welcome to Delmarva Today. This is Don Rush. The 80th Folk Festival picks up after being a year off due to the COVID-19. It will be the third year for Salisbury before the National Festival moves on. In the past, thousands have flocked to the event with several hundred vendors and numerous acts ranging from blues and bluegrass to the sounds from other countries. In the studio this morning, Caroline O'Hare is with us. She's a local manager. Also by phone, Laura Bottinelli. She's the executive director of the National Council for the Traditional Arts, which puts on the event. Also, Blaine Wade, who is the associate director. And welcome to all.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Thanks, Don.
So, first of all, actually, Caroline, I want to turn to you because you're the person on the ground, and the issue that's probably going to be overhanging over all of this is going to be the coronavirus, the new Delta variant. What kind of precautions or what are you thinking about in terms of keeping people safe?
Sure. Well, we are very excited that we are able to come together again because people are doing their part. They're being good neighbors. They're wearing masks in a crowded situation. They're social distancing. They're staying home if they are sick. They're taking care of their health and their safety in their community. And that's why we're able to have this event. And we want to have our festival attendees enjoy the event in a safe manner. And one of the ways that we're going to do that is to really, really encourage good behavior and good neighbor behavior. And that's wearing a mask. It's a simple thing to do. Even though we're outdoors, there's going to be a lot of us there. We really want people to be safe and be able to enjoy this and to be able to come back every year and have these great events. We also have our other protocols that we're doing for our artists and our staff and our crew. And Laura can actually speak to that. We've been working very closely with local and state health agencies and safety officials for many months on this. And we feel that this can be a successful event, and it will be a successful event.
Will people be required to wear masks, or is it something that's recommended? Or have you decided?
You know what?
I can chime in here.
Sure.
Go ahead, Laura.
This is Laura. So, we're hosting a mass gathering. And as hosts of the event, we're asking our attendees to wear a mask. And that's how we're going to start our weekend. And we know that we have many ways that we are prepared to ensure community safety and well-being at this event. The 80th National Folk Festival has been in many shapes, sizes, durations, and locations over its many years. The National Folk Festival is about being able to have cultural exchange and discovery of things that may be close to you personally or very new to you in the range of things that you've experienced or been presented. So in order to do that safely, as hosts, we just know that we're hoping our community will support us in having as vibrant an event in downtown Salisbury as we can.
And also understand what Tidal Health Peninsula Regional also going to be participating. What's going to be their role?
They are a stage sponsor. So we'll have the Tidal Health stage, and that is located right across the street from Tidal Health. They are a proud supporter. They've been with us for all 3 years of the physical festival, and we're so proud that they're there. We also have Wicomico County's Emergency Services Agency and FEMA that will be on site giving vaccines to anyone that wants them. They'll be in the old firehouse parking lot, the Daily Times parking lot. And I believe there's no appointment necessary. Just walk in. If you haven't gotten your vaccine yet, this is a great way for you to be a good neighbor and to do your part.
By the way, will there be any checking in terms of temperatures? Because I know in the past it's been sort of a free flow. There's no official exits. Will there be any checking or?
Yeah, and
go ahead, Lori.
Updating our policies for the general public on 8/27, or it's August 27th. That's 2 weeks out from the event. We're not anticipating temperature checking. We're not anticipating any gating of the event. We also, I want to go back to the question that you asked about Tidal Health. That's our broadcast stage, and I want to talk about that for a moment because you are our broadcast partners.
You go ahead.
Is that is a way. There have always been people who have been unable to attend the National Folk Festival that wanted to. And so what we're asking is that if you are feeling ill, if you are someone who's been avoiding mass gatherings during this time, as people are making personal decisions about how they're bringing themselves out into the public space. So the broadcast that's always been available is really, again, reinforcing that bridge that you can participate and enjoy the richness of the National Folk Festival. And we know that for some people, this may be the year you can't come, and that's okay. We know there's a lot of interest in this event, and it should be a celebration of the traditions and the partnerships of our community to be able to bring something like this together. So as our broadcast partners, Public Radio, we are really excited about being able to share live through your station the various updates that are going to come out over the weekend. We have I know at some point someone's going to ask, well, what's happening with the National Folk Festival? What are your plans for the future? We will be sharing some updates about the National Folk Festival on Friday evening during opening remarks. So that way we continue to make our plans for this year's event, get kick-started, and be able to then look forward to 22, because we know we are going to be able to celebrate again with you in Salisbury.
Let me ask you this, turning to the fourth stage, tell me a little bit about that and what inspired that? What kind of things are we going to be seeing there? As opposed to, say, I know you in the past, and the ones that I've attended, you have had a section where there are like local artists and representing some of the cultural activities that occur, for instance, here in this region.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're talking about the Maryland folk life and family area. And
right.
As we talk, Blaine and I can kind of share some background on this. So this is our partnership with Maryland Traditions, which is the folk and traditional arts division of the Maryland State Arts Council. And they have been stewards of this type of work in the state for a very long time. So this year, there'll be an artist demonstration area with tradition bearers from Maryland, several from the Eastern Shore, and then a performance stage where there will be the ability for performative-based traditions. And I'll kick it over to Blaine, since we'll let him say a few things about some of the highlights in here that he's excited about.
Yeah, go ahead, Blaine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure. Thanks, Don. As Laura said, this is a continuation of what we've done the first 2 years of having a stage and a demonstration area devoted to the best traditional artists and tradition bearers in the state. This year we're really looking at a statewide theme, focusing on a really diverse collection of the best artists in the state. And what's really exciting is we have a mix of folks who are sort of long-standing and have worked with the Maryland Traditions Folk Life program with the Maryland State Arts Council for a number of years, as well as some cultural communities and representatives from those communities who are really doing some of their first public participation in festivals in this way. And we've really been able to tap into some great field work and new relationships the Ward Museum has been building there. So those latter examples would be a family from India, from West Bengal, India, the Dash family from Delmarva, who is carrying forward a tradition called Rangoli. And it's a tradition of decorating swept floors and entryways to doors, these very intricate designs, colorful sands, colorful flower petals, and it's for sort of religious occasions or other special events. This is representing new immigrant communities there on the Eastern Shore. Likewise, there's a really strong, growing Filipino community we've learned, and they've in the Salisbury area, and they've carried on their festival traditions, really important to keeping their community strong and maintaining those connections. And they'll be coming and demonstrating some of the traditions that are associated with their festivals and other important observances they have. But also somebody like Candace Marshall and Smith Island Cake, which is something we've wanted to have at the festival for years, and she's a really well-known figure there on the shore, and great to have her back. And in addition to demonstrating Smith Island Cake, she'll be telling stories and just really sharing with folks what it's like on Smith Island and all that she knows and the way that only she can communicate it. At the same time, we're going to have great demonstrators from Western Maryland, a blacksmithing duo, as well as a really fascinating community tradition out of Cumberland, Maryland, of competitive marble playing that can be traced back over 100 years in the community. And for about the last 60 years, it's been a partnership with the local schools, where marbles are taught in the local schools, and then there are public competitions in a park that's been going on there for decades, and this feeds into national competitions. So it's a really fascinating story. And then in addition to that, we have quilters and a really exciting mix of cultural traditions, including indigenous traditions from the Eastern Shore. And finally, just to touch on some of the highlights from the stage, we've been able to put together a program on that stage that's really meant to be very engaging for families and young children due to some of our safety measures that can't be participatory, but it's still supposed to be very active and something that will really be something families can enjoy together, very heavily based on movement and dance, from urban dance traditions like popping to old-time flat-footing to Puerto Rican dance traditions, and in some Filipino traditional dance. So a really exciting mix on the stage as well that should be very dynamic and engaging for audiences.
You mentioned, by the way, the War Museum. What kind of contributions are they going to be having? I know Laura's got a close personal feel for that since she was head of that organization. What should we expect from that?
Oh, sure. So the Ward Museum has been in our basically curatorial team for the Maryland Folklife area. So their staff has been supporting what's been brought forth. And so those two new participants, the family practicing Rangoli and then the Filipino community, was results of the field work that the Ward Museum has been doing ongoing. So that they are involved in that way. They're helping us make sure the area runs smoothly. And I know that over at the museum, we've been encouraging marketplace vendors from our past National Folk Festival marketplace to be consigning their works so that they would be in town for shopping during the festival. Even though it's off-site, it's another place in which people can discover the museum's collections and its grounds, and then potentially encounter some of the artists that they may have found at prior year National Folk Festival marketplace.
So I want to sort of turn now to sort of the general acts that you've gotten. And I guess, Blaine, I guess this is yours. Yes, because you got everything from blues and gospel, klezmer, Cajun, and, of course, stuff from Eastern European as well as the Caribbean. Give me maybe a set of highlights of what people should expect from that.
Sure. I think, as we always say, the festival is the star. That's what this is about, is the collective representation of the roots and variety of American culture, and that's still very much the case this year. So the highlight is that in coming to this wonderful free event, you can see such a wide snapshot, a panorama of different cultural communities and cultural traditions here in America. And on top of that, I would say such a wide range of artists, kind of where they're coming from. You have somebody like the Delmarva Band, who we should point out has a deep connection to Western Maryland through Delfest. So it's a great opportunity, though, to get them over on the Eastern Shore, where you have tons of bluegrass fans. But somebody like Del, who's at the pinnacle of achievement as a bluegrass artist, and even pushing the boundaries, at the same festival as deeply grassroots artists like the Sri Lankan Dance Academy of New York, that comes out of a very strong Sri Lankan community there in Staten Island, in the Tompkinsville neighborhood. This is a group that, until a few years ago, had not performed widely outside of their community, but they've been doing that more and more and really sharing Sri Lankan culture and dance with audiences across the country. So that mix is really exciting. Another artists were really thrilled to get to be making their National Folk Festival debut, and how appropriate that it's at the 80th, is the U.S. Army Blues Band. This is a group one of the groups that's part of the larger body of Pershing's Own, and has ties to World War II and sort of cultural diplomacy and performing abroad for soldiers. And they'll be coming there, and they're top-notch musicians, each and every one of them, and performing a classic big band jazz repertoire. And then you also have somebody like Shamika Copeland, who's the reigning queen of the blues, carrying on that really important tradition, as well as the Savoie Family Cajun Band, who has also deep ties to the National Folk Festival. Mark and Ann Savoie actually met at a National Folk Festival in the 1970s. So it's just such a broad mix. And I'd like to, highlight two more artists. One, Belen Escobedo, who fronts a great trio that carries on Tejano Conjunto fiddle. Most people associate that music with really loud and danceable and high-energy accordion-driven groups, but its roots are actually in more acoustic and intimate fiddle music. And Belen, with her group Pensios Guerra, keeps that going. She's really the last person doing that. So it's a really special opportunity for audiences to see somebody like her. And then finally, a group with ties to Maryland is Spencer Taylor and the Highway QCs, a great African-American gospel group originally coming out of Chicago with early membership including Sam Cooke and Johnny Taylor and Lou Rawls, but they've been based in the D.C. area and actually out in the Maryland suburbs for decades now, and really exciting to get a group with that kind of Maryland connection at the 80th National Folk Festival. It's very important to us. So it's just such a wide range of artists and cultural traditions, all together in one event, and oftentimes even together on the same stage in some of our really exciting workshops or talk demonstration sessions. So the mix of the whole is what is so uplifting and special for all of us.
I want to ask you about Salisbury itself, because this festival has been billed as part of really revitalization of Salisbury in general. And Laura, I'll kick it to you, and certainly Caroline can chime in here. What kind of impact do you see this festival having on your old stomping grounds here?
Well, the return of the National Folk Festival, we know, is a continual part of the sort of kickstart of the recovery post the 2020 pandemic. And I want to create the opportunity that we should have Mayor Day speak to some of this, because that trajectory has been part of how the festival was designed, with the beginning of the renovations to the downtown plaza and various elements. I mean, the whole past 5 years, the downtown has transformed, especially knowing that we had the interruption of 2020. But now the major elements are all in place, and this is sort of like a grand reopening of what has been a culmination of that design process. For me, every time I go back to Salisbury, I turn my head, I'm like, oh, wow, when did that happen? And it's great. I know I have friends listening on the radio, and it's really exciting to see the growth in the community, and that it is, was emerging metropolitan. The statistic for its growth within the Maryland economy, it's fantastic. So for the National, that type of story is actually connected to many other communities in which the National has been. And we are excited this year to just see how with the recovery post-2020 pandemic, the American Rescue Plan, early on, the city of Salisbury indicated that those monies that were part of the design of the Biden administration to help small communities get back on their feet would be available for the National Folk Festival. It should need it. The good news is that community support has been robust. And of course, we're going into 4 weeks from now. It's a event planning like none other. But the city of Salisbury is rising to the occasion, as they have done every year at this festival, and it's just exciting to begin to see it all come together. And Caroline, I'll let you add anything to that.
Sure. I just think about, before this all kicked off in 2017 and 2018, before the festival came, and how, we had a few events throughout, the summer and whatnot. And now almost every weekend you have movies on the river, you have the concert series, you have new boutiques like Lilac and Bombshell opening up on Main Street. Mogan's is just incredible. You've got the Revival, which is a venue that's going to be opening up for different types of shows and cabarets, opening up in the city center. And it just feels like, just with how the way that the city or the downtown area is looking and how it's being utilized, that it's a place for everyone to come together to enjoy each other. It's really been inspiring to see how our community has grown. And I was really excited when Mayor Day was on his way back, because the transformation, just the projects that were completed while he was gone, I was so excited for him, because he was going to see all this work that's been done while he was away really move us forward even further. So I'm pretty excited. I think the Salisbury Arts and Entertainment District has just been knocking it out of the park. The city has been doing incredible things. The county has been really promoting Delmarva tourism and Wicomico tourism. And you just see so many things happening. I think it's because, well, one of the reasons is I think a large-scale event like the National Folk Festival plants seeds and lets people know, look, we can do these things. We can enjoy these things. We can experience something different. And it really inspires people to move forward and to take on their own projects. So I'm very excited that our community is growing in the way that it is.
Now, I know that when the festival ends in this 3-year cycle, I know it's early, but are there people thinking now about plans about how to continue this on the local level?
It'll still be the same large-scale event. It will be the Maryland Folk Festival, and we are excited to continue the legacy of nationals turning into legacy festivals, similar to Richmond's Folk Festival or Lowell. We've been thinking about this for, well, since the beginning.
Right.
But yes, it'll still be the large-scale, high-quality production as the national.
I also want to ask you, Caroline, about volunteers and how responsive have people been? It's obviously in this time where we're a little bit cagey about trying to get together or working or getting out of the home, as it were. What's that been like in terms of response? In the beginning, I was really worried. I said, who will do this? We have had such an incredible outpouring of support. We have, how do you call them? Like volunteer areas, like backstage support or beer and wine or whatnot, that are at 80% full, 75% full. We still have a month, and this is when we get that big influx of people. So I am just so incredibly impressed by this community, because when we need something, the community stands up. They are good neighbors. They are good supporters. They want this to be a success, and they know that, you know what, if I need to donate like 2 or 3 hours to help out, I can do that. And I'm just so proud of this area. I want to pull back just a moment, because we seem to be living in an era of quite certainly deep division, lots of conflict, lots of fears certainly about the coronavirus. I don't want to give everyone a chance. I'll start with you, Laura. What do you think the significance is of a festival like this in times like the ones that we live in now?
Well, we know that when you experience new things, and when you get close to your neighbors, and when you work together to common cause, it promotes well-being. Cultural traditions are part of what give us grounding through time, through our community, through our families, and through the interest and discovery of more about our neighbors. This whole Be Good Neighbors actually connects really well in here, is that it adds value to your personal life and to your community life. And so those, being able to come to an event like the National Folk Festival and have that type of enrichment, we know it promotes greater understanding. So we lean into that. The mission of NCTA is to celebrate and promote discovery and sensitivity to the diverse cultural traditions of the United States. And we're excited to be able to do this work with our partners in Salisbury.
Blaine, what about you?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I mean, I agree with a lot of what Laura said, and I think, I would add a couple of things I often think about the work of folk and traditional arts in general as a folklorist. I think a lot of this division you reference comes from larger structures that exist on a national sort of media level, and those, I think, and I've heard a folklorist, Henry Glassy, talk about this really eloquently, sort of get superimposed on people when they stop interacting together locally, when they stop exchanging goods through day-to-day interactions and working together for various projects, building a home or what have you. And I think that's sort of, as Laura said, with the national, it's all about a community lift. It's all about what can the community come and do when it works together towards a common cause and a common purpose. And it's that direct interaction on a community level that hopefully drowns out and supersedes the noise that encourages us to be divided on a more national level, and reminds people what they have in common and how to value each other when they're working together. And it's those direct interactions that I think really help strengthen a community and build bridges. And I think the other thing I would add is really, if we think about what festivals are, they've come to be, things we think of as weekend activities and kind of get lumped together with other events that are meant you get out, you go, you have fun, and there's food and whatever. But really the origin of the word and if something is festive means it's set apart in time. It's a special time to experience something different. And with us, it's hopefully really a chance to create something that's about wonder and excitement and learning.
Caroline?
Well, what Blaine just said, I thought was rather impactful there. I was thinking that it's pretty difficult to argue when you're dancing. It also made me think, actually, of Daryl Davis and his story, who performed at the 2019 Folk Festival, National Folk Festival, and how he has worked to communicate and get to know people in the Klan as a black man, and find out why they were making these choices and what they were about, rather than arguing with someone, really getting to know them. And you can only do that when you face each other and you have a discussion. And I think this festival offers people the chance to really get to know other people they wouldn't necessarily run into on their daily lives. So I'm very proud that this festival brings traditions that people have never heard of before or may not be familiar with, because it reminded me of when Shodake in 2018 was performing in the Folklife tent, and the amount of people that came running to listen to him. He is a beatboxer and does throat singing, and was incredible. And it wasn't like they said, "Oh, what are we going to do tonight? Let's go listen to the throat singer." They were just so enthralled by what they were seeing. They were experiencing something new, and it was something exciting. And I think that this festival just elicits wonder and fun. And again, it's about the community coming together. I'm just so proud of it, and I hope everyone has a great time and that they are good neighbors to each other.
Laura, I'm going to turn to you because I'm going to ask you, so what do you miss about the Eastern Shore? You were here a long time. You headed up the Ward Museum, deeply involved with the community. You were one of the shakers and movers behind getting this festival here. What is it you miss?
Well, I guess the funny part, Dom, is I'm actually on the shore.
Okay. You just didn't decide to leave, huh?
Well, during the pandemic, my mom has been living in Rehoboth, and so I got to come back and support her here. So it's been sort of a rediscovery of the shore for me during this time, and kind of looking with fresh eyes at how, looking at the community of Salisbury and how it has brought itself together, but just remembering that the agricultural community, I spend a lot of time driving through the farms, Dom.
Right. Oh, yes. You can't miss the corn stalks, right.
And that there is, working community culture all over the shore in many different ways. And being here along the coastal communities, knowing that those maritime trades are actually still active, and people, how they've been responding to the pandemic, whether it's the resort communities, whether it's these agricultural communities. And it's, I see this place, the Delmarva Peninsula, as a really attractive place for people to, carry on their personal life ways, but also to have the, obviously the beauty of nature at our fingertips. And then with a city like Salisbury as the capital of the Eastern Shore, is that what we call?
At least the crossroads, right.
Right. As a place where an event like the National, it's a centering of as that sort of metropolitan spirit that you look to your capital cities for.
Well, we are speaking with Laura Bottinelli. She's the executive director of the National Council for the Traditional Arts that puts on the event. Also, Blaine Wade, who's the associate director and the local manager for the festival, Caroline O'Hare. Appreciate you all joining us this morning to talk about the festival, and good luck to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This has been Delmarva Today. I'm Don Rush. Thanks for listening.
Delmarva Today with Don Rush.